strange thing was that I didn't have any sort of real contact with Steve for a while he was doing the film anyway, and all that sort of thing. And he was hostile, I felt, at that time. And but at any rate, sometime later on, Steve got cancer, and so I was concerned about that, and I thought, well, I must call him and say, I'm really concerned that I just heard that he'd got it. Nobody else knew he'd got it at that time, but somebody had told me. So I called Bud, because I knew Bud's number. I called Bud, and I said, Bud, can you give me Steve's number? Because I want to call him, because I hear he's ill. And Bud said, you won't believe this, because I haven't spoken to Steve for 2 years. He cut me off. He doesn't speak to me anymore. And I said, well, I'm calling for his phone number. And he said, well, what I haven't told you is that he called me half an hour ago, completely unexpectedly, and said, here is my telephone number. And I said, well, I'm calling to get Steve's phone number, calling you. And he said, well, here's his number. Call him. It was quite extraordinary. I mean, he hadn't spoken to Steve for 2 years. I hadn't spoken to Steve for probably 2 years. Suddenly, when Steve got cancer, this happened.
And how did that conversation go?
Well, I mean, I had conversation with him after that. And I didn't actually see him after that, but we talked very freely, and he died very quickly. He died very quickly after that.
Do you think there was a feeling of regret that the friendship had been allowed to go the way it had?
Well, I mean, I was sad, and it was interesting in the sense that I was always a friend of Bud's, and that Bud had exactly the same experience as I had, because Bud was very, very good. Bud was Steve's best friend sort of thing for years. And suddenly Steve had just pushed him on one side. So it was a funny characteristic of Steve's, that he would do things unexpectedly and very decisively sometimes, but it wasn't very predictable. But I must say, I learnt so much from my friendship with him. I mean, we had great times together and that sort of thing in the earlier days. This was before the Le Mans film. We had a great time, and I was very, very good friend with him and his wife, and I used to stay with him in Hollywood and everything else. You know, it was a great time, and I think he's still a great hero in the film industry. I think he's regarded as being an unusual one. He certainly was unusual.